Welcome in to Trust the Process Live. We are back. We are here, and what we're going to be doing today is a fun little thing. We decided to. It's now the dog days. We
Oh,
are firmly at the All-Star break and the time of the year when all we have to talk about is baseball, and we know that is not always everyone's cup of tea. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to do kind of a roundup series, and roundup series in terms of taking a look at all of our franchises here. We might even expand it to go five to go to that union.
I'd
We,
be down.
we don't know. We don't know yet. We'll see. But right now, it's going to be kind of a roundup in terms of, and we're going to get into this in the main event. But looking at the franchises and looking at where they're headed and what kind of chances they have to give us another parade down Broad Street and end up at the art museum. Today we're going to be starting out with the Philadelphia Phillies. And before we get to that, obviously, I'm your host, James Hyden, here with my guys, Doc Locke, Josh Safran. How are you, buddy?
I'm so good. I'm so good, and it's we've talked about your moods, like messing with the sports messing with your moods. For the first time in a while, it's in the positive manner, and it's from the baseball team here. Said it last week. These next 5 games could be the season, and by that indication, the season's looking up, and I'm feeling up. Banners. I'm sure you're similar. I don't know about the rest of your life, but I'm sure you're feeling a little bit lifted from the Phils for the first time in a long time.
I won't give anything away, but I who knows? Our guy with many digits in his name, Maximilian Coolish, he might give something away. How are you, pal?
Nope, lips are sealed here. I'm chilling.
Ooh, okay.
Still haven't figured out the whole cold control downstairs, so sweatshirt necessary to keep it PG-13 on camera. So ready to talk baseball. Let's get it.
Let's do it. So as you can see in the title, this is our trial of the Philadelphia Phillies, and Lord knows if we did this trial any of the years past, we would have put them right in jail. They would have not passed go, not collected $200. They would have been right in jail. But this year, I don't even know. I don't even want to make the statement that just popped into my head. Okay, our first topic in our main event, our trial of the Philadelphia Phillies. Buyers or sellers? Because this is the hot topic. We are now watching a baseball team that is back to 500 entering the All-Star break. Not a game over, not a game under. Perfectly at 500, sitting 3.5 games back in this NL East that many expected to be the best division in baseball. So, boys, we got to ask. There's really only one right answer to this question based on the team makeup. But I got to ask you, Josh. I'm going to come to you first, man. Buying or selling with these Philadelphia Phillies?
You know my answer. My answer. I was ready to buy last week, pretty much. And that was going into these 5 games. I was just feeling that good. But I'll also say this. Selling at this point, it's loser shit. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, take your Matt Klentak. If we don't, we don't. Like, you have to buy right now. First of all, just as a fan, speaking just as a fan, how could you want to sell? You know what I mean? I get the logic of oh, you don't want to mortgage the future. Maybe this isn't the team. It's there hasn't been playoff baseball in this city in 10 years. How can you sit here and say you want to sell? The boys are hot. You need a little bit more pitching. The offense is there. So it's not like you have to, there's no sweepstakes going on, right? There's no Machado. There's no Harper. We're talking about buying a nice arm in the pen in the starting lineup. Either or, I'll take it. But you have to buy. And I'm sure we'll get into this as the episode goes on, but look around you at the division, Banners. You talked about it just a little bit. And that Acuna injury was it was horrible. You know what I mean? Obviously horrible. I'm not here to celebrate it for 1 second, but let's face facts. I think that you can knock the Braves out of contention almost. With Fried, with Acuna and Freeman, he has not really looked like himself this season. The Mets, I'm feeling like it's a 2.5 team race, and I have the Nationals and Marlins as a half a team. You have to buy, fellas. I really think you have to buy. Now, who you give up to buy, it's a different discussion, but my official answer, no doubt, you're buying.
Interesting. All right, so with this question, before I go to Max, I want to throw these at you, Josh,
Yes,
to answer on top. You kind of gave me the why. But for who and what are you giving up? I have a scenario, so I don't want you to go, and I'm going to lay the scenario out later, but I'll give you the team. So I don't want you to go anywhere near the Cubs. I want you to give me a why, and I want you to give me for who, but not from the Cubs, because we're going to get into something specific that a Chicago beat writer has thrown out there. We're not coming up with anything here. Am I seeing like a C300 in the background there? Well, never mind. I'm sorry. I got camera stuff.
You are.
Okay, that's nice. We'll talk about that later. So give me what team and for who and for what. Give me the whole package.
I'm sticking to my guns from last week, actually, and I'm all about Ranger Suarez. Right? I think he's the real deal, but I like the way he's being used right now. Like he can close, but I'd rather have it be like Phil's get a lead, have Ranger come in the 6th or 7th, and have him throw 2 or 3 innings a couple times a week, and have a separate guy be your more classic or like as we know it, a closer. I'm looking at the Rockies still. I'm still looking at the Pirates. I threw the names out last week. Don't call him Richard Dick Rodriguez from the Pirates and Mr. Danny Bard from the Rockies. Those are the 2 guys I'm zoning in on. And also, fellas, let me throw this out real quick. And let me, because this isn't a trade, there's been some talks about this. Cole Hamels is having a showcase and inviting all the teams to come watch him pitch. Why not take a flyer on Cole Hamels, right? He's not going to cost you much. If he stinks, he stinks. So what? But it's a great way to get maybe like a decent 5th arm in your starting rotation, have a reunion tour, and get some production out of him. So I think the combination of taking a flyer on Hamels and then a Bard or Rich Rodriguez to get more of a normal closer in exchange for I don't really know. That's the problem. I don't really know who you give up for that is appropriate in that, right? Like maybe there's some prospects of the Rockies and Pirates to take a flyer on, but I'm not sure if these teams really want a Didi Gregorius. You know what I mean? Because I think in a lot of these trade scenarios like Didi or Segura, they're getting thrown around. I don't think Pirates or the Rockies could do anything with that. So I'm still focused on those 2 guys, but yeah, I like Ranger from the bullpen, and I like what he's doing now. I just think you need a real, like a stereotypical closer opposed to Ranger Suarez. Nothing against Ranger. I like how he was used yesterday. Keep trying it.
Little loogie, little fireman out of the bullpen.
Yeah, but a loogie. Exactly, a 2-inning. Yesterday was perfect. Do it twice a week. Get a 2-inning, 3-inning save. Not even a save, just 6, 7, 8, and then let Rich Rodriguez do it. And I think it would be huge. It's old-fashioned stuff.
All right, Max. So I don't know if you switched up a little bit. I want you to tell me whether or not, if you're Dombrowski, if you're buying or selling, and I want you to tell me why and for who. Okay.
So I will have to stand in front of a jury of my peers and admit that I am on the favor of buying now.
Oh,
guilty.
There it goes.
Feel free to condemn me.
Charge.
I think it's absolutely within my rights to make such a drastic change like this when the best player in the whole league has a season-ending ACL injury, and therefore his team's chances have dramatically decreased by all logic and reasoning, right? I hope I'm not ruining anything for later on in the show. Maybe I'm breaking out an ace card early here, but I believe it's Baseball Reference actually has the Phillies at the highest statistical probability to win the NL East as of this very moment in time.
The odds at the sports books have also changed.
Yeah, and I don't think that there is a coincidence that lined up very nicely with the Ronald Acuna Jr. injury, right? I'll say this. We have been hammering this team for their one consistent weakness that they just refuse to address, the closer / the bullpen role, right? It's they are one and the same almost, it feels like at times. And if this isn't going to be the year, where admittedly you guys are much more locked into the baseball trade stuff than I am, but I think it's obvious that 2 of the worst 3 or 4 teams in the league in Colorado and Pittsburgh are your obvious targets for where to attack in terms of a trade market, right? I think if you're not going to make the move this year, then how are you ever going to show the core of this team, this fan base? How are you ever going to show that you're serious about winning? The division is as wide open as it can be. If your biggest obstacle is the Mets with a 3.5 game lead with a second half of a season and all of September to play still, you're in a good spot. This can be, look, I'm not asking for a championship this year. The chips are lining up. I said the cards are lining up. The chips are lining up very nicely to at least break the playoff drought. That's all. Like even that is a win in of itself this year. It's on the table for you. Go and seize the opportunity.
All right. So you have to be buyers. Sorry. Yeah, you never could not have been.
Now
right.
you do.
Even
I honestly,
even
not to cut you off. Sorry, I'm sorry. I think if the Acuna injury doesn't happen, I don't think you need to go hard as mine. Like maybe if a deal falls in your lap kind of deal.
Fair. I like that.
I think that changes the whole complexion of everything. Because just last week we were talking about the Braves have been, stupid as they come, but they have the best players in this division, and I'm not going to bet against them, right? That was kind of like our group consensus last week, I feel like. And now that's all out the window. I'm sorry, Banners, please.
You're good. So, I mean, you never weren't buyers with this team. I'm not sure where anybody got that. You never weren't buyers because Dombrowski is a first-year GM here in Philadelphia. You can't look Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto and Zach Wheeler in the eye and say, all right, we're going to get rid of McCutchen. We're going to get rid of Reese. We're going to get rid of Odubel and Didi or one of Didi or Segura. And you have to wait about 3 more years. That was never going to happen. So me personally, I'm not sure why there wasn't a move made already. And that might just be because of the market. But center field should have already been figured out. The market prices were already down. The deadline is where relievers get a lot more expensive. So you needed to attack at least one of your deficiencies before now, because now you're paying a premium on both of your positional needs.
Banners, can I just ask you a question? Like, do you think that center field, like right now, like, are you still looking for center field? Because personally, like, I just think you can platoon it. Like I think
that's an awful idea.
I think you can platoon it right now.
Andrew McCutchen's not hitting over 240. You can't go into you can't go into a playoff situation platooning Odubel, Herrera, Luke Williams, and letting McCutchen hit 240.
And Jankowski, he's hitting.
If you're telling me you're relying on Travis Jankowski to make a playoff push in center field, I would ask you if you know baseball.
I'm relying on the 3 of them because, like,
you're platooning 3 people in center field.
Yeah, why not? Because I mean, I don't want to allocate my resources to center field when, like, I feel like get more bullpen or pit. Like, you need more pitching. Like, I think the offense I can live with. Like, it's fine. Like, not everyone has to hit 300 on the team. Like, it's okay.
Nobody's hitting 300 on the team.
Yeah, I know, but like to me, I'm like, it's not it's not good. Like, if a center fielder falls into our lap, that's awesome. But like, I think
the Phillies have limited assets, and Josh would rather invest them into pitching than center field.
I can live with platooning center field if it means we can get an arm or 2 as opposed
center
to
field isn't going to blow you as many games as a bad close.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, the center field is not ideal. I want a center fielder next year.
This isn't, but boys, this isn't an either or type of thing.
It might have to be this year. Is I think what Josh is getting at.
Right. What I'm getting at is,
like we're taking out we're taking out like the probables. Like let's look at it as you have to win the NL East, right?
Sure.
Okay.
That's our goal. That's our buyers or sellers. You can't be a buyer and say, all right, well, we're only going to address one need to try and make a playoff push, right? That makes sense to everybody?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it can't be an either or type of thing. You have to go get a center fielder and you have to get at least one arm for the bullpen. Are we on the same track here?
Yeah, but like I'm ready to make a guarantee that there will not be a different center field.
Yeah, I kind of get that.
That's fine. We're playing out scenarios as if I was the GM, and like we're telling the franchise what to do. Like this is the only mindset that you can have. I'm not saying it will happen because you're right. The assets are limited, and like I said, the market prices are going to go up. This is when they are highest at the deadline, other than the winter meetings. But if your mindset as a buyer I need to go get another center fielder, and I need to go get at least one bullpen arm. So to me, I mean, you guys already touched on them. I mean, Arizona, you could probably try and gut. I would be looking to at least try and sell one of Reese, Bohm, or Stott to get me a Ketel Marte out of Arizona.
I don't think they're going to be letting go of him anytime soon. But
they're 22 and 66. Yeah. They need to get rid of everybody.
I guess. I mean, he's like the only guy that's like good on that team, though.
Yeah, so you need to sell. I mean, outside of that, I mean, you can't really. I mean, Texas really doesn't have anything you could even pick. Kansas City has a couple bullpen arms like Stallmont and Kyle Zimmer. It's tough, man. Baltimore's got nothing you really want. Scott Fry, you might want out of the bullpen, but like.
And let's not count out starters either. I want to make that like I don't want to count out starters either. Like I want a starter. Like if we don't get it, we don't. But
yeah, it's just tough. Like I don't want anybody that starts on Texas. I don't want anybody that starts on Kansas City. I don't want anybody that starts in Minnesota.
Sometimes you just need to change the scenery.
I think so too. I think Kansas City. I hadn't thought about Kansas City until you brought them up. They got a few pitchers there who like looked good and then have looked bad, and it's
really only Duffy that you would want from Kansas City, and that's just like.
Do you really want Duffy? Like, yeah.
He started off hot, but like he used to be a fireballer, and now he's not. Like, you don't want anybody that starts for Arizona. Really, the starters that I would want would come from Colorado with John Gray or Marquez. You'd have to give up a lot for Marquez. So it's just really about situational stuff. You know what I mean? Center field is obviously where I would go outside of at least one reliever. I would prefer 3 new players on this team after the deadline, 2 new arms and a center fielder, but realistically would settle for 2 new faces, whether that be 2 arms or a center fielder and an arm. So we'll see. I don't know. It's you never weren't buyers, and I just want everybody to kind of understand that, because Dombrowski can't look anybody in the face, especially, I mean, Sam Fold having the confidence to at least take a backseat to Dombrowski. Like, Dombrowski was brought in here for one reason, and Middleton, I mean, I don't even know what to say to Johnny Boy anymore. So I talked about this a little bit beforehand. There was a scenario that was brought up, and it was not by any Philadelphia writer. This was brought up by a Chicago beat writer. I don't have the name right in front of me. So the scenario he writes about is the Cubs trading Chris Bryant and Craig Kimbrell for a starter package that starts with Alec Bohm. Max, how do you? I know how I feel about this. Max, how do you feel about this? Craig Kimbrell and Chris Bryant.
I know we all called Bohm untouchable last week, but I mean, if he's going to be touchable, those are pretty 2 well-established guys. And look, I don't love the idea of trading Bohm, but for a trade of that quality, where I don't see how anything close to that would get done without him, either that or without totally gutting the future. So
right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love the idea, but I mean, Chris Bryant and Craig Kimbrell, and just for Bohm prospects, like. I don't know that. I'm hypocrite of the week, I guess, but that sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, Josh, what are you feeling? Kimbrell and Bryant for a package that starts with Alec Bohm.
Right. I do it, and I don't really think twice about it either. And this isn't a reaction to Bohm's season this year, right? Like, I think we all came to an agreement last week where it's like, listen, he's having a rough year. I 100% believe in Alec Bohm. But when I think about it like this, where it's like, at best, more or less at best, like in Alec Bohm's career, he could become a Chris Bryant. So why not trade for literally Chris Bryant? And then you also get top 5 closer in the entire league in the same deal. Now, granted, Chris Bryant's contract is up at the end of the season. I'd be willing to take the chance because I know
him and Bryce are boys.
Him and Bryce are boys, and they both have, they're settled down. They have families. They're gonna love going out to like. Philly's got a great restaurant scene. We've got a great scene here. Like, I could see Chris Bryant re-signing here even after this season. Now, Middleton and the money, it's a different story, but I just think that's the biggest like stopper for me, right? Is like, we got Bohm. He could be here for years. Bryant's contract is up at the end of this year. Do it, man. Do it. We need to make the playoffs. Alec Bohm, he could be like Chris Bryant. He could end up like Ben Simmons and just fade away and forget how to hit. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know. So if this is really on the table, I think you have to do it.
I don't find any legitimacy to this trade package. There's like the Cubs. Now let me start this by saying you have to do this deal. Yeah. If this is on the table, you have to do this deal. What I would try and do is I would try and keep any combination of Mick Abel, Bryson Stott, and probably Spencer Howard. I mean, I would probably actually try and include Spencer Howard to keep Mick Abel off the table, even though I'm still incredibly high on Spencer Howard. You need to keep Stott and Mick Abel. Stott mainly because if you pull this trade off and you can form kind of the Vegas trio of Harper, Bryant, and Stott, that gives Stott that much more confidence to be himself. It gives him two players that he can really relate to outside of having to come up and try and manufacture stuff. But outside of that, you have to do this deal. But if we're taking it at face value, this trade, there's nothing to this trade. The Cubs they have to hit a complete reset button. They need to get rid of Bryant, Rizzo, Kimbrel, and Baez. Outside of that, that team is horribly built. They need to blow it up. So if you're the Cubs front office and you're seeing a package of Spencer Howard and Alec Boehm, somebody else is beating that. Like there's no real legitimacy to this trade, unfortunately. Like I don't get like I said, I would love this deal. You have to do this. But the trade would never even make it past the front desk. Like the assistant GMs that flag everything before it gets to the top guy would laugh this out of the room. Like it's just not, unfortunately, it's just how stuff goes. It's nice to dream about.
So nice to dream.
It's nice to dream about. And Chris Bryant,
dreams, banners, it can happen.
I mean, Chris Bryant would give you the flexibility to be able to throw caution to the wind, promote Stott all the way up, and let him fill one of the outfield positions, and just give you tremendous roster flexibility. Obviously, Kimbrel, I'm still not as high on Kimbrel as other people. He still lets the ball get up in the air a little bit much, and Citizens Bank Park is a lot more homer friendly than the friendly confines of Wrigley. But I mean, he's better than anybody we have on our roster.
Yeah, everything we currently have.
And to be quite honest, though, if you wanted to change the package from Kimbrel to any like two other lesser arms in that Cubs bullpen, the Cubs bullpen has been one of the best in the major leagues for the entire year. So if taking Kimbrel out of that deal and throwing in somebody like Tepera and Chafin or even Rex Brothers, like if that lessens the package you have to give up and still gets you Chris Bryant and gives you two arms instead of Craig Kimbrel, I would do that in a heartbeat. Like that's just me. Am I crazy for that?
Absolutely not.
Banners, I'm going to defer the shit out of this to you because you're naming people in other teams' bullpens. All right, this is all you, brother. If you tell me that these guys are worth trading for, I'm in on it.
That makes me feel good. That does. Oh boy, we've been talking a good amount about the prospects. So prospects are all projection. So now let's project. Okay, let's look at this roster. Let's project. Let's not project our feelings. Let's project what we think is going to happen. Okay, boys. Ooh, in the next 5 years, and this is kind of like a word on the street thing. And another word on the street is you can catch us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere. You can find us, Trust the Process Live, TTPL Philly. But this is kind of a word on the street here, boys. And I'm going to give you two blanks, okay? In the next 5 years, Max, I'm coming to you with this. In the next 5 years, blank will have a meteoric rise and blank will turn sour. Now, I'm not going to put any restrictions on you. You can pull any name from any level of the organization, major leagues, all the way down to rookie ball. Give it to me.
Okay, I will say this. If we're going 5 years time frame, I do think I'm going to take the easy way out and say Bryson Stott because I can't imagine him not being on the roster within 5 years, especially with all of the turntable that we have had at shortstop and are still set up to have because Didi and Segura are clearly not, they're stopgaps until this kid's ready. When he's ready, he's going to come up. He might be the franchise. So I guess that kind of on the other side of things that this maybe feels like a cop-out answer, but I kind of feel like you have to go with one of the other two shortstops who are, maybe going to get clogged up because it seems like Stott is kind of on the fast track to the major leagues and there's only one shortstop position, right? So like obviously maybe these guys have other utility, but I think the short end of the stick would probably end up going to Casey Martin, right? Because he's the older of the two between him and Garcia. It's always tough to predict with these kind of guys, but it's kind of just natural pecking order that if you're rated lower on the ladder and you're the older of the two guys who are also rated lower on the ladder, it just kind of feels like that's the easy way out. So I might be totally wrong on this, but that's just kind of what the common sense would say.
And Casey Martin might be a good throw-in for any trade package. That's he's a very, very productive college bat with good speed. Kind of what we wish Scott Kingery should have been. You know what I mean? So, Josh, in 5 years, blank will sweeten and blank will sour.
Max, I give you a lot of credit. You went with the B-sides there. You know what I mean? There were no big hits. I mean, Bryce's Stott big.
I mean, Stott feels like kind of like a cop out, especially because we were just talking about him.
Yeah, no, I'm going with the big guns. Going with the big names here, because I think Bryce Harper will sweeten. I think he will get better and turn into that guy that we kind of expected him to turn into when we signed him. I think we're seeing it happen a little bit right now, right? Look at how good he was when the season started. Then he got hurt. He's been hurt, plain and simple. And I really believe that, because we're seeing the Bryce Harper I've seen this last 10 days or so is a lot like the Bryce Harper who we saw mashing the ball to start the season. I think, he's not going to be the best player. I don't know if he'll win an MVP or not, but Bryce Harper is going to be that dude. He's still young. It's baseball, right? Like, obviously age is always a factor, but he's going to be able to hit. And who knows if the DH will come to the National League and he'll be able to play a little DH too and really not wear and tear. On the other side of things, I think JT Realmuto is going to sour.
I got to pick a
very much, and he's going to sour very fast. I have to be a little bit honest. I do like JT. I understand why he's so good and why he gets paid as much as he does for the position he plays. I wish they kept Jorge Alfaro the whole time, if I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Are you serious, dude?
Yeah, I do. I loved Alfaro, man.
Have you watched him play a baseball game?
Not this year.
He's like Andrew Knapp on
seriously, don't do it. He's a below replacement level catcher.
But the thing is, like, catcher, I've always been under the belief that if you've got a good catcher, good, but nobody expects you in the MLB to have like a catcher that really produces.
Like a premier catcher, yeah.
A premier catcher, right? Like you got like Narvaez right now hitting like over 300. Other than that, there's a reason JT started in the All-Star game, right? So I think he's going to sour really quickly, and I think he'll get a little bit better before he gets worse. Like, he's playing pretty bad this year. I think he'll get better, and I think once he hits like 31, he's really going to drop off, and we're going to start regretting all the signed JT propaganda. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's on the team, but in a year or two, like within the next 5 years, you're going to look at the contract and look at his production, and he's not even like he's already not throwing guys out. Now, I think a little bit might be on the pitchers and like not holding runners very well, but you got to point it out. I think he's going to sour kind of quickly.
Okay.
Oh boy.
For Sweeten, I'm going to go the pair of Spencer Howard and Mick Abel.
Love that one.
I'm going to go. Mick Abel's on a streak of, I think it's like 12 no-hit innings with like 15 Ks through his last two starts. The kid's just he's blowing people away using pretty much only his sinker and slider. And that's not even talking about the changeup he has a good feel for, and the curveball that has a bunch of depth. And I still believe in Spencer Howard. People are so quick to write kids off in this town. Like, he's 24 years old, barely. He only started 1 year in college, and he's dealt with shoulder issues, which I don't want to hear anybody point to the shoulder issues, because
shoulder guy right here.
It's like I have shoulder issues.
Yes.
He'll be fine. Okay, let him build up. He's going back down to take the reins off. Let him build up his arm. Let him build up his arm strength. They're going to be a very good punch, and that's not even getting into the Andrew Painter kid who we took yesterday, the first round of this year's MLB draft. I think we've got some good prospects coming up. 6'7", 230. He's got a good frame.
He's a stretch forward.
So I mean, it's there's some decent top end arms. There kind of drops off after that in the prospect pool. A lot of people don't know the name Francisco Morales, the number 2 ranked pitching prospect as of now in the system, or 3 since 2 because Spencer Howard wore out his eligibility. There's some good arms. I think those 2 could come in, especially if Cotham does stick around. I think he's a very good pitching coach if he gets to them earlier in their careers. I think that could be a very good 1-2 punch before Morales and Painter get up to the minors, even though Painter and Abel are kind of on the same timeline, being both prep arms. And then Sauer. I mean, there'd be a couple easy answers. Kutch, I don't think is going to be here. JT's obviously the easiest answer right there. Will Sauer. Will sour.
You need a suggestion? I got one. You want a layup? You want an alley-oop?
Sure.
The manager.
I wanted to stick to players. I don't know if Joe's going to be here either.
I mean, he's not, but I figured I'd give you the way to just talk about how Joe Dramarty's demise will come about.
I'm going to have to go with Nola.
Knew it was coming.
Wow.
I didn't want to go with Wheeler because it feels like Wheeler has actually figured something out. I got to go with Nola, mainly because we saw the top, we saw the average, we saw like the middle ground where he usually lives, and now we're seeing what happens when I'm just not sure what he doesn't have this year. He seems that the mechanics look the same, the spin rates haven't changed that much, and if you haven't, go take a look at the spin rates after the spider tack thing. The Phillies pretty much stayed the same, and there's only a couple very bad arms that their spin rates dropped. They were just trying everything to stay up. So Nola wasn't using anything, but I don't know exactly why he's losing it. And even he doesn't know, obviously, because he hasn't fixed it. So I'm gonna go with Nola there, and the sweeten is the couple prospects down there that I'm just hoping and praying can finally be the homegrown
answer.
One since Nola, two since Cole Hamels, because not been a lot of homegrown arms here. And our next question sticks with the prospects, boys. All-star waiting in the wings. What prospects do you guys have the most faith in? I know I just went through a lot of names there, but give me, Josh, what prospect do you have the most faith in?
Well, just, straight up, the number one prospect I have the most faith in is the guy we've been talking about a lot already, and it's Spencer Howard. And maybe I'm saying this more just as like a punch back to all this anti-Spencer Howard rhetoric that's been going on. The guy is a good pitcher. His numbers first time through the lineup, tiny sample size, his numbers first time through the lineup are some of the best in baseball. This is a guy who, once he figures out how to be a pitcher, I think you said this, man, instead of just a thrower, and knows how to pace himself through 6 or 7 innings, he's going to be a legitimate guy. The guy we heard about when he was coming up in the system, he's still there. Everyone's quick to give them the Ben Simmons, Fultz, Wentz treatment of, he's done. He forgot how to do it. No. Guy's got gas. Guy's got movement. That curveball really scared me last year. He'll get it right. He'll fine tune it. And I'm going to go and see him next time he starts for Lehigh Valley. I've been looking at his stats, and he's just 2 runs, 1 run, few hits every game. He's showing in the minors, he's legit. He needs to figure out his weird little issue, which of course nothing is ever just normal in this city, and even Spencer Howard can't get away from it. So I'm making a point to go see Spencer Howard's next start. I want to give him the real eye test in a controlled environment where he actually gets some innings. But is it safe to say this is a Spencer Howard show?
I like it. I saw him.
Officially a Spencer Howard podcast.
Exactly.
However we want to classify ourselves.
I was at his last start versus the Red Sox, and he just he got tired. That's what it is. The velocity didn't dip too much. He was living around 94, which you can do as a starter, but you want to see him pump it up because he has it. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to build himself up. He's trying to figure out how to get the easy velocity that you hear DeGrom talk about. He lost a little bit of he got tired, and he was trying to find it through the fourth. So once he figures that out, he'll be able to get you into the 6th and the 7th. He just needs a little bit of time. He's 24 years old.
I mean, we had some great pitchers come up this way. DeGrom, he had a really hard time starting out. Chris Sale, he had a really hard time starting out. I'm not saying Spencer Howard is going to be DeGrom or Chris Sale, but I'm just saying, Philly fans.
There's a path. There's a path to follow.
Right. And it's so natural in this city, especially recently, where it's get him out. Nah, he sucks. No, everyone, there's a path.
Max, which prospect do you think is an all-star waiting in the wings?
So just really quick disclaimer. For some reason, I thought last question was just for prospects. So that's why I didn't answer with any of the major leaguers, because that's what I probably would have done. I definitely didn't just pull up a quick list of the Phillies' top prospects to give me my quick breakdown and a quick reminder. Anyway, with that being said, I'm not going to count Spencer Howard because he's actually don the Philadelphia Phillies professional uniform, I think McAble's going to be a stud. I mean, he just looks like it on the mound. Like he's one of those guys that when he pitches on the mound, he's like, yep, that guy can pitch. Like
nasty.
He is. He's just like, he is nasty. Like I'm not one for as the show has shown, I'm not the guy to defer to for all the stuff about the prospects. Mick Abel's the only one who I've ever like watched, like actively looked out and like tried to find highlights of because of like the lore that I've heard, and he lives up to it. He's like, whenever he gets the major leagues, like that might be appointment, Citizens Bank Park scheduled visit for me because I'm ready. Like I'm ready to see. I mean, it's always a special occasion, like when one of these, these guys that have been, been growing, for lack of a better term, been marinating in the minor leagues for a couple of years. Whenever they finally make it to the main course, like you're ready. You've been waiting 15 years for that bottle of wine to age. Like, what I mean? It's time to pop it open and drink it and enjoy it with 38,000 other people, right? Like I'm ready to see McAble. I'm ready to see Stott. I'm ready to see these kids come up. Like we've been waiting for some of them for a while, and it's still early for some of these guys, but like the last great, or I don't want to say great because they weren't great. They were the opposite. The last generation of Phillies prospects most certainly did not pan out the way that a lot of us had hoped. And
Cody Ashe didn't pan out.
Yeah, I mean, like I know it's still early, but like even Moniak had the hype train for years and years, and it was just like, damn, he's still not ready for the major leagues when he got up here. And it's like, all right, we'll see you soon, but like make it work next time. But he was like the last horizon for that class in my mind, like that group of guys, and he was all right. He was nothing like, oh my God, like what are we doing drafting this guy? But he wasn't like, yes, Mickey Moniak, he's the future. You know what I mean? He was a guy who clearly needed more time, but had some flashes. So I'm maybe naively hopeful for this next generation of Phillies prospects, but I really do think that even the Phillies can't mess up McAble.
There's a couple guys that, and I'm not going to say any of these guys are the prospects that I'm most confident in, but they had a pretty decent draft so far through this year's MLB draft. And I'm not going to do a whole roundup. I could probably do a separate video just on that alone. But the guy I'm probably most confident in, I'm kind of going off the board here. Not off the board. I think he's like number 8 or 9 on the prospect list right now. I haven't checked in a little bit, but Eric Miller, the left-hander out of Stanford a year or two ago. Big left-hander, big body left-hander who was touching 99 in college with a wipeout slider, good feel for a changeup.
He's number 8 on MLB's Phillies prospect list,
okay.
By the way.
So it's not completely off the board, but if you can figure him out, that is a very, very good middle to top end of the rotation left-handed starter that you developed out of college. He was a college arm, so he came out pretty decently polished. He has the arrow kind of pointing up. He's done a couple rehab starts. He got injured before the season. But I mean, floor, you got yourself a hard throwing lefty out of the bullpen that has 3 good pitches that he can work out of the bullpen with. So Eric Miller, I think people need to start remembering the name. He's on the track, on the fast track back from injury.
Banner, you would know better than me. Didn't his Stanford team, did they win a College World Series? Or
I don't think they won. They definitely went to one.
They went to one at least. I wasn't sure if they won or not.
No, he definitely went to one. That was the tail end. That was the start of the Kumar Rocker years in at Vanderbilt. Jack Leiter just missed that. So that was like right when that might have been the East Carolina when they won was I think was his junior year. I think when they might have went to a College World Series. By the way, that was really fun. That was a really fun team. But yeah, Eric Miller's my guy to keep an eye on. I'm confident in him having a high floor because, like I said, he can if he's not working out in the rotation, throw him in the bullpen, let him throw as hard as he can with a wipeout slider and a pretty good feel for a changeup. E. Miller, remember the name. Last question here in the main event, boys. In the next 5 years, and set these odds for me now. I want you to be the odds makers. I want you to be the book. Next 5 years, set the odds that the Phillies will win a World Series. Okay, do that for me, Josh. I want you, Doc Lock, set these odds.
Setting the odds. I mean, look, it's 5 years, right? So they automatically, you got a large window. I'd set the odds at plus 700, plus 750. Wow. Well, is that low or high in your mind?
I would say high.
So let me get some scale. What would you set the odds at?
I'd probably go the Sixers they opened the season around 850, I think. I'd be comfortable with like an 850.
Right.
Yeah, that's for 1 year though.
Yeah. I'm setting the odds, next 5 years, any year. I'd say plus 700, plus 750.
All right.
It's pretty fair because if gun to my head, if you were like, will the Phillies win a World Series in the next 5 years? I don't know that I would say yes. That's the thing. But I think that's why I think this 750 is like a really good number where it's like, look, you got 5 years to do it. You got a path. Same thing we said about Spencer Howard, right? Like you could see where this team would do it, and it's certainly possible. And widening it to 5 years automatically makes it a better chance. So that's why I'm going to go with that plus 700, plus 750 number. But like I'm not confident in it, right? Like I'd throw $5 that way for a 5-year span. Why not? Get a big payout if it happens. But it could happen. I think they'll make the playoffs multiple times in the 5 years. It's a matter of if they can put all the pieces together in 1 year. Like, I don't know about the two of you, but maybe I should have rephrased the question. Like, how many times do you think this team can make the playoffs in 5 years?
I'd say at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, it seems like a fair assessment where it's like, and it all comes back to the farm system, right? Because if you widen out to the 5 years, you're pretty much playing with the guys you have. Obviously, there are moves you can make, but the farm system, we all know it. It's not that special. But then you flip it around. Look, you got Bryce, you got JT, you got Zach Wheeler. Hopefully Nola's a little bit better. And then you let Spencer Howard come up. You let Mick Abel come up at that tail end. It's possible. Would I bet on it at plus 750 odds? I would. But I'm not confident in it. Does that make that seems fair to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Max, what are these odds at?
I was going to say around plus 500. I mean, putting a 5-year window on any bet is just it's crazy. Like, for example, what would the Dodgers be at if the Dodgers had to win one World Series in the next 5 years? The Dodgers would be like minus 475 probably or something like that. Maybe not that high. They'd probably be like minus 250. Like, I know. I'd take the Dodgers to win one World Series in the next 5 years at minus 250. I'm in on that. That's
I'd put a bet down at like minus 175 for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, even still, I think that just putting such a large window on it just really, I mean, you're never as a bettor, you're never going to get great odds on that. So I think plus 500 is probably fair.
Plus 500 feels good. That you're pretty confident in that in 5 years, huh?
That's
than I
think that's just. I'm thinking of in terms of like if I was X Sportsbook, what would I ever offer this hypothetically crazy bet at?
Okay.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing to make the case for the Phillies is that you have more than one star locked up long term on, I mean, you say what you want about Bryce's deal, but you have more than one star.
He's there for all 5 years.
He's there for all 5 years. And not a lot of teams in the MLB can say that, whether they're better like the Dodgers or they've got more things waiting in the wings in the farm system. Not a lot of teams have got JT, Wheeler, and Bryce, right? Like the rest, you never really know what's going to happen. But based off that, I can get behind the plus 500, yeah.
So I think I actually I got to move mine probably like to plus 600, plus 550 just because because of my stance for like buying or sellers. You brought Dombrowski in for a reason. You know what I mean? Like Dombrowski's not going to sit here for 5 years and trade away assets unless it like gets him better assets for a push now. You know what I mean? We're talking about the guy who traded Pedro Martinez, right? So like he's
literally always going to be that guy.
Yeah, he traded away Pedro Martinez for a better shot to win that year. You know what I mean? So if that tells you anything about who Dombrowski is, I think I got to move mine closer to probably like plus 550 or plus 600, just because, like I said, you can't look Bryce Harper in the face and say, I'm not going to do much for you in 5 years. Like that's
can't tell him to wait for Mick Abel and Eric.
That's going to get you punched in the face. You know what I mean? So hopefully, I would take that bet. Honestly, I see plus 550 on a sports book. I'm going to hammer that. I'm going to do it. Halftime, gentlemen, we have to tell you about our friends over at PHL Sports Nation. So you got to check them out over at PHL Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams from Philadelphia across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com. PHL Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Those guys are awesome over there. They sent us some amazing guests like let's say Brandon Apter, Mr. Jolliker, Jeremy Rice, and a couple more. So hopefully we get a couple of those guys either back on or we get some new writers over there because they've got plenty of good ones covering all your Philadelphia sports teams. Thank you again to those guys. What's up?
You just can't wait to say Mr. Jolliker. Like
I can't because I gotta write it
every week,
every episode.
I made it a point to ask him beforehand. I'm like, dude, like I'm gonna butcher this, so you gotta like spell this out for me. So I'm gonna make sure that if he's watching, he knows that I care enough to get it right every single time because I do. I care. Boys, second half, we're gonna do a little bit of gambling. All right, we're not gonna place any bets, but we're gonna try and win some people some money. And our first one,
responsibly.
Yeah, exactly. Everything in moderation. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Bob's your uncle. First one, home run derby bets. And what I got here for you right here is the bracket for tonight's home run derby. And I'll tell you what, boys, I cannot believe that Salvador Perez is in this home run derby, especially going up against Pete Alonso. But I want your derby bets. All right, so Shohei Ohtani is obviously in this derby. So we're going to go through it. Matchups. Okay, we're going to go through it matchup by matchup. And we're going to start here with the 1 versus the 8. Ohtani versus Juan Soto, possibly one of the more electrifying matchups for tonight. Josh, who you got?
I'm going. We said gamble responsibly, and you're gonna turn around and I'm gambling irresponsibly. I am fading the Showtime hype. I am buying into this idea that he hasn't taken batting practice. There's a major difference between being a home run hitter in game and being just a guy who hits nukes in BP. We heard it with Stanton and like Judge for so long, like, oh, you got to watch these guys take batting practice. I think the fact that Shohei doesn't take batting practice is going to be huge. And then it's Juan Soto. Like, he's having a down year. The guy's a freak. Like, he's so huge. I'm telling you right now, my best bet for tonight is Soto to beat Ohtani in the matchup, and it's plus 230. Like,
it's a smart bet.
Plus 230. I put $5 on it, like, done. Like, I don't have any other bet except I'm going to tip my hand. I can't help myself. I got Soto winning the whole thing tonight.
Wow.
I love it. I just think he's so strong.
From the gun.
Like, he's so strong. He's got such a sweet lefty swing. He can hit it to all fields in Coors Field. Okay, I mean, like we're all going to talk about Coors Field.
Coors is tough in right field, though.
It may be tough in the normal. That is a good point. I did forget the tall wall, but I don't think it'll matter. I think he might be crushing these.
All right.
I'm going with Soto on that one. I'll go with Pete Alonso.
Okay.
I'll just run through it real quick. I'll go with Pete Alonso. How can you not? This is tough. I think Joey Gallo, Trevor Story is going to be really fun.
That's going to be fun.
Just because you got the home crowd means a lot in these things, but I gotta go Gallo. I just have to go Gallo, but it's going to be the best. Matt also might win it, but you know what? Give me Trey Mancini for the narrative. The crowd's going to be behind him. And then give me I got Soto over Alonso. Give me Gallo over Mancini, and I think Gallo Soto in the finals. That'll be fun. But you heard it. Give me Soto to win it all.
All right, Max, I'm going to leave this up for you, man. Run through these matchups for me. And you don't gotta project them out. If you want to stick with the first round, that's cool. But
I got you.
Let's
I
do
actually was looking a little bit myself for some action earlier today. So just for the sake of contrarianism, because I actually was going to take Soto to at least take round 1 without tipping my hand for the rest of the tournament. But just because I will want to spice things up, I'll take the number 1 seeded favorite. Very controversial of me. I know. Thank me later. So going on now, can you throw the graphic back up for me, please?
My
good friend.
Right here.
I'm banging this out now. You only got to take it down.
I love it.
So I'm gonna take Pete Alonso over Perez because I think that's kind of weird, and I'm not really sure why Pete Alonso is a 5 seed. Yeah. I'm gonna take Trevor Story with the hometown upset, and I will also take Trey Mancini in his first round. Left side semifinals, I'm going to take Pete Alonso over Ohtani. Was kind of hoping no one else would have seen the he doesn't take BP quote because Josh is right. There's a big difference.
That's huge.
Big difference. Big difference. So I actually do like Pete Alonso to make it to the finals from the left side of the bracket, and I will take Trevor Story with the home crowd behind him. A little bit of familiarity with the park. I'll take him to the finals on the right side, and I will take Pete Alonso to spoil the fun at Coors Field.
Wow. All right. So I'm gonna go a different route here. I'm taking Shohei over Soto. I'm I'm taking Alonso over Perez. I'm taking Gallo over Story, and I'm taking Matt Olson over Mancini. Matt Olson is on an absolute tear to start this season. He has been a fantastic hitter this year. Joey Gallo is going to remind some people tonight of Ryan Howard's performance so many years ago. That dude is absolutely built for this competition. I'm so confused as to why this is his first time in it. Pete Alonso over Perez is pretty much a walk-in. And Ohtani, and I'll get to why I'm taking Ohtani in a second. I'm taking Ohtani over Alonso. I'm taking Joey Gallo over Matt Olson. And boys, we're getting a matchup for the ages here with Shohei Ohtani versus Joey Gallo in a sweet swinging lefty matchup in the finals. And I'm taking Shohei Ohtani to win it, boys, because the legend grows. Not only
I would love to see it.
Yeah,
not only does he win the home run derby tonight, but he's going to start for the All-Star team this week, and he's also going to, when he stops pitching, he literally, the report came out today, he literally begged Major League Baseball to change the rules so he could stay in the field and bat after he is taken off the mound in the All-Star game. Not only is he going to win the home run derby tonight, Ohtani is going to win the All-Star game MVP, and the legend is going.
This is the weekend.
The legend is going to grow. We are watching something that has never been done. He is the culmination of everything since Babe Ruth. Give me Ohtani all the way.
I have to pose you guys a question. If this all comes true, if Banner's events unfold, we have to ask this question. Is Mike Trout the best teammate Shohei Ohtani has ever had?
Wow.
You on that?
Oh boy, I don't even want to get into that. That just makes my brain hurt. Okay, let's see. We're getting into let's do a little roundup. The rest of the MLB season best bet. So I want to start this off. Our first one, and I'm coming back to you, Max. World Series odds. So your best bets for these World Series odds coming up.
Honestly, without knowing what odds are off the top of my head, I know that my preseason pick, the Chicago White Sox, are still looking juicy. They're not the odds-on favorites. I think that they've been, I don't want to say treading water because it's been a little bit better than that, but they've definitely been figuring themselves out in the first half of the season, I would say. Maybe in spite of their manager.
They've been so hurt. That's like I
guess that's part of the figuring themselves out, kind of going hand in hand. But I don't know. I can't shake the feeling that especially in terms of value on odds, I still do really like the White Sox. I haven't looked anytime recently, but I know that I'm certainly not taking the Dodgers this year.
They got the third best odds at 8-1, right behind the Astros and the Dodgers right now.
Yeah, I love that. Love that.
I like that. Josh, what World Series odds? Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, especially I'm never gonna pick the favorite in any of these. Like, it's just not fun. And best bets. You want something that you think is gonna happen for the value. So give me the San Diego Padres actually at plus 750, because I think you're seeing them play really well without two of their really good pitchers this whole season, and Dinelson Lamet and Mike Clevenger. Like, they're gonna get those guys back for when things really matter. And I love that lineup, Machado and Tatis. We all know what they do. And you're getting them at the same odds as the White Sox, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, give me the Padres. I think they'll win the division, too. I'll go that far and say that. I think the Dodgers are going to be really good, but I think you could see two teams with 100 wins in the same division.
That would be crazy.
I'm not talking about the Giants. I think the Giants will tail off. I think they'll make the playoffs, but they're not going to.
I hope so. I'll never forgive the Giants for 20.
Cody Ross.
Yeah, sorry, Doc.
God, Cody frickin' Ross. What a guy. Literally the soul cleaver that is Cody Ross. You guys took some good picks right there. Like, I'm looking at this. The Dodgers have the best at 15-4 plus 375. I mean, Astros.
What's up with the Yankees?
God, you don't want that. You don't want
Yankees are 25-1 somehow. Like, that's like they should be way worse than that. I mean, the Astros. I might have to sit here and take the Astros at 11-2 plus 550 just because it's the Astros. The Astros are a team that, and I might get some backlash for what I'm about to say. as the Astros are a team that know how to win. I might get some backlash for that. And kind of deservedly so because the way they won it. But like, if the last couple months have taught you anything, that the Astros were not the only ones to cheat in baseball. And if the worst thing that they did was subvert a rule by banging on a trash can, like if you're telling me the most advanced way that people found out to cheat in the game of baseball is they banged on a trash can, and like we're really this upset about it, like the other shit that's gone on in this sport, and that's what we're like that upset about. I think we need to grow up a little bit. I'm not by no means am I like absolving the Houston Astros.
I hear you though.
But sounds like you are, but I'll let it slide.
I'm just saying that this team they're not cheating right now, and they've got the second best odds to win the World Series. Altuve still exists. Correa is going to get back from the All-Star game or the IL at some point. And you know what? It's my buddy Chaz McCormick out there in the outfield. It's a hometown. Dude used to sleep over at my friggin' house in middle school. I got to give my boy a little shout out there. He's playing real well. It's good to see Chazzy having some fun out there and doing well. So I gotta take the Astros here. So that's am I crazy?
The Astros. They just had a huge series. Like the Yankees obviously suck this year, but they just had a huge emotionally charged series against the Yankees.
Yes, they did.
And it's crazy. People still are just talking about how they got away with it. Like they didn't get punished in the COVID year, and they're just. It does kind of feel like I don't want to say a revenge tour, but almost kind of just like a. Like, you know, like they're a 70s metal band with everyone's got the double fingers out the tour bus window and flipping everyone. You know what I mean?
Like
I kind of like it, to be honest. Like, I'm not rooting for I kind of wanted the Astros to go farther last year just to see, like, everyone get up in arms. Like, it's a spectacle. You know what I mean? It's like it's something, it adds some juice.
Dusty Baker's a great manager. I mean, Jordan Alvarez is one of the better hitters in the major league. Michael Brantley still somehow hits over 300. Like, it's a pretty good baseball team.
They're a good team. They're a really good team.
So I'm going to throw out one a long shot. I forgot to mention. I think Brewers up for value. Brewers plus 1,300 would be
strictly for value,
because they're making the playoffs and they've got that type of pitching where they could go Nationals-esque. Like we saw the Nationals do it.
1 through 3, like Woodruff, Burns, and Peralta are absolutely disgusting.
And if you have to, Adrian Hauser is not setting the world on fire. Good pitcher, and never forget about that guy, Josh Hader. So I'm not laying big money. I'm not laying any money on it, but I'm just saying plus 1,300, it's got good value.
It's good. Definitely does have good value. Our last one here, boys. Here we go. Division winner, Cy Young, MVP. So I don't, Josh, what were we going for with division winner there?
I mean, just if pick 2 or 3 best bets in any of those categories. You want to pick a division winner, like your Cy Young, an MVP pick, whatever you're feeling, you know?
All right. I like that. So why don't you kick us off then? Division winner, Cy Young, and MVP.
I got one right away that I'm actually going to bet the second we get off here. I don't know what book you're using. I'm looking at DraftKings right now. You can bet on your Philadelphia Phillies to win the National League East at plus 700 odds.
Oh,
and
I like that.
If they were plus 200, I wouldn't touch it. You read it at the start of the show, at the top of the show, Banners. Phillies are statistically, according to Baseball Reference, statistically best chance to win the NL East. And you're telling me I can get that for plus 700 odds? I'm going to hammer that the second we get off this show.
Yeah, it's way better than FD. They're only plus 500.
Ooh. And the second one, I talked about it a little bit. This one's a little bit more risky and a little bit less value. I do think the Trevor Bauer thing, which, by the way, lock that man up. I hope he never plays a game in the MLB again. I always hated Trevor Bauer, and now I know why. I think it's going to have some rumblings in the clubhouse a little bit. Like, it's just something weird that happens. Like, forget about a personnel thing. Like, forget about how they have one less good pitcher. I think the Dodgers aren't going to run away with this division, and I already said my thing about the Padres, so they're extremely good. They're not that far out of it, and plus 350 are the Padres' odds. So I'd take 2 division winners in the Braves. I mean, not the Braves, the Phillies and the Padres. And one other thing that I would throw out there is MVP. Right now, you got DeGrom at minus 140. I don't think there's a chance he wins it. I think he's going to get hurt. I think he won't be able to pitch enough. I think DeGrom's going to get hurt, is what I'm saying. Like, it's not going to be like a season-ending injury, but it's going to be like Embiid, right? Where it's like clearly you should have won MVP. but you missed X amount of time, and Tatis had such a good year. The odds aren't great. It's plus 130. I'm just saying, I really think DeGrom is going to get hurt for long enough time, and it's going to go to Tatis this year.
Okay. Max, I'll give you a little bit more time looking at those odds.
I mean, not to cut you off, it's kind of thin here. I mean, I honestly kind of disagree with Josh. I see Jacob DeGrom at minus 105 on FanDuel for National League MVP, and I'm all in on that. That guy can get hurt for the last month of the season. He still might win. He's been so good. I mean, that might be a little bit of hyperbole with the situation Tatis might find himself in. And it's definitely possible that if they're both healthy, Tatis could still win it anyway if the Padres do come back and win that division. But I mean, DeGrom has been a force of nature this year. I don't see that slowing down.
But he doesn't go that deep into games. Like, that's the thing. Like, he really doesn't.
That dude is unstoppable. He's unstoppable.
Since when does he not go deep into games?
He pitches like 3 innings and his finger bothers him. They pull him out, or he pitches like 5 innings.
What?
Yes. All right. Go look at a game log. Like, he'll go deep into a game.
I have.
I'm pulling up a game log.
Oh my goodness! Are you seriously trying to discount what Jacob DeGrom is doing this year?
I'm just like, he's an incredible pitcher, but like, pitch into the 8th inning, Howard.
Jesus Christ! Let's see. I'll go division winner. I like the Cincinnati Reds to win the NL Central over the Brewers. I like the Cincinnati Reds to win the division over the Brewers. The Cubs are absolutely falling apart. You got nothing to worry about. The Cardinals should be better. They have been absolutely the Cardinals and the White Sox have been absolutely destroyed by injuries. They have like literally just mangled. So I like the Reds to come out of the Central. I'm going to stay away from NL Cy Young, mainly because I think that's going to be very. It's going to be very it's going to be tough. It's going to be a weird voting cycle. I think DeGrom wins it in a landslide, but I think you're going to get people that are going to argue that it's going to be contentious. So I'm going to go AL Cy Young, and I'm going to take Carlos Rodon over Garrett Cole. I'm taking Rodon because he is on fire, and the White Sox are a good team. The Yankees are not a good team. So Garrett Cole he looked more like himself last time out. So when you've been pitching with the sticky stuff for 3 years, you need a couple starts to get yourself back on track. Although I'm still going to go Carlos Rodon over him just because of team success and what the guy's doing. It's been incredible. And then MVP, I'm taking Ohtani, man. Like, it's Ohtani. Not only does he have the major league lead, but he's got a low 3s ERA with a ton of strikeouts. Like, there's like,
what are the odds on that? By the way, I'm trying to
minus 290.
Yeah, like,
minus 290. I gotta take Ohtani. Like, if he's not the MVP, there's something wrong with the voting. Like, he's single-handedly carrying a team where
these futures are boring. They're all. I mean. All the player futures, I feel like, are just like, okay, I wouldn't bet on any of this.
Rendon's having a down year. Mike Trout's been out for it's going to end up being like 10 weeks or something like that. Like, he is single-handedly keeping a Los Angeles Angels team afloat.
Banners, one last thing before we move on. Thoughts on Lance Lynn, AL Cy Young? The Astros might end up with the best record in that conference, or that.
I would, if Carlos Rodon didn't exist, I would still take Lance Lynn over Garrett Cole simply because of team
Garrett Cole's had a down year. I'm surprised to see him still as the odds-on favorite.
It's name point. It's name.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's just so obvious. Like, he was using the sticky stuff. Like, it's not like it's like, oh, he's gonna get better, right? But it's like, it's so obvious that the version of Garrett Cole that we know, like, doesn't really he's not a full version anymore.
It's ridiculous. Not like I've never seen a player be caught with their pants down so bad at an interview.
Yeah, and that was rough.
I've said this before, but I'm the producer on the Mark Farzetta, the Farzy show every morning. We have Hugh Douglas on every Tuesday, and he put it perfectly. It shouldn't be that hard to lie. If you're cheating, you should be able to lie. It's not hard. It's not hard to look reporters in the eye and go, nope. Not using it. Wasn't me. That data, that's wrong. Me using Spider Tack?
I have no recollection of that.
Never heard of this stuff. Spider Tack? What's that? That sounds like it could help. Can I use it? Nope. Never used it before. It shouldn't be that hard. Like, you've been lying to everybody, including yourself, for a number of years. You shouldn't. 3-word answers. Nope, never done it. Done. But to get caught with your pants down in an interview and literally pause and sit there with like 30 seconds of dead air because you can't figure out the words and still not give a definitive yes or no. Like, dude, like, go. I don't even know what to say to you. You're an idiot. So that rounds out our second half here, boys. We're getting to tap outs. And I would like to start tap outs by saying Dave Martinez is a spiteful son of a bitch.
Oh, yes. You beat me to it. Justice for Zach.
To not start Zach Wheeler in favor of Max Scherzer is a crime.
Disgusting. Literally disgusting. I'm going full baseball right here. That is a crime against the game.
I couldn't agree more. To give it to Mad Max, and don't get me wrong, Max Scherzer is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But he just gave up a grand slam to a reliever. I don't like. There's no other way to put that. To not start Zach Wheeler this All-Star game is robbery. So Dave Martinez, honestly, I hope Max Scherzer goes out there and gets absolutely shelled.
Yeah.
Yep. Go AL, inning one. At least for inning one.
That's all I got. Boys. Max.
Honestly,
Josh.
I just want to just reiterate hashtag justice for Zach Wheeler because that was going to be my tap out. It'd be one thing if he wasn't an injury replacement. If he was just named to the All-Star team, like whatever.
He
wasn't even on the original roster, and I think that is just any fan base going through this would understand. Like it's like watching somebody. I don't even know. I can't even compartmentalize this the right way. I'm actually getting stressed thinking about this now. But yes, Dave Roberts is officially enemy of the state. I'm gonna title him as such.
We're a Spencer Howard show and an anti Dave Martinez show. Like, let's get that straight. No, my tap out. I had like a few things I could have tapped out about. Usually, it's like, man, I don't really have much. Today, it's like I had a bunch. I'm gonna stick to my guns here, though. It was an all Phillies show, so we didn't get to talk about Danny Green on the show. First things first.
Good man.
Everyone shut up about it. Like, honestly, I am so tired of hearing about the Danny Green thing. But recently, the Vince Velasquez thing happened. I don't know if you guys saw the video.
Yes, that was yesterday.
Of Vince Velasquez getting into it with a fan who, by the way, I'm like 90% sure it was a Phillies fan who started heckling him.
Oh yeah, they called him pathetic to his face. I mean, you don't just take that in stride.
Well, bro, but like, let's be honest. Pathetic is not the worst thing Vince Velasquez has heard.
It's not.
For sure. But I just wanted to like combine the two things into one and say like, there's a difference, right? Like what Danny Green said, because I feel like, the fans and the athletes and Philly has become more of a topic. So I just want to say Danny Green said was dumb. It was just dumb. Like there was no need. Exactly. Everyone hates Philly and we don't care. Thanks, Jake Watson. But the thing is, we don't want to admit it. We care. Like clearly we do care as much as we like to act like we don't. But Danny Green, it was just stupid. And he's only been here for 1 year. Vinny V, on the other hand, he's been here for 5 years. Right. And like, I think he pitches pathetic at points, but never would I ever walk up to that man as he's just trying to go home and call him pathetic. Right. And
stand harass on your way home from work.
Right. That's exactly what I thought. Because Joe Giglio today on 94.1 was saying, like, that's a bad look. Like, you can't do that. You can't call a fan a fat ass. Like, it's just mean. And I'm like, dude, like, Vinny V, he's miserable, right? Like, he doesn't want to be pathetic. Like, he knows he's bad. Like, he's leaving work, right? Think about it like this. You know you had a bad day at work. You just want to go home. And now you got this guy telling you that you're pathetic. Justice for Vinny V. I would have yelled at the guy too. Like I know. See, people are divided. Banners disagrees, but I'm saying justice for Vinny V. Like you're a person. Like heckle in the stands. Keep it at least PG-13. But they're on the street. They're just people. Like he just wants to go home. He had a bad day at work. I would have done the same thing, Vinny V.
I'm all for athletes clapping back in general, especially after the game. Like they're not even in the stadium anymore. You're just talking to another guy at that point.
Right.
Like, yeah, obviously there's boundaries. Like you can't get into fist fights or anything like that.
Like Jaleel Okafor.
Yeah, like Jaleel Okafor. Wow, oh my God, you just unlocked that memory. It's just like this part of my brain just went. I just remember watching that video and being like, great. Never really liked this guy much anyway. Now I have a reason to just be down on him. But anyway, I mean, yeah, like I'm all for it. I think athletes should be allowed to, clap back even within reason during games. Like, I understand it's being professional. That's obviously not the route it'll ever go.
That's my take on this. There's a difference. Said fat ass, because honestly I can't comment on the man's physique, but said patron is not paid to be a public personality. So what I would say to Vinny is, let's be honest, man, your life is a whole lot better than said dude standing outside of the red tape patronizing.
Sure.
So what I would say to Vinny is use that. Don't let this guy rattle you. You're allowed to clap back, and I encourage a clap back. But let's do this smart. Let's be sarcastic. Let's make it funny.
I think it's funny. Like that's not.
I am with facts. Like
that's not offensive. That's not like it's not bringing in like we're not touching any of the touchy stuff like politics or race or religion. Any of that.
I'm not saying fat ass crosses the line. Obviously, okay. I just said it, but I'm saying like don't come at it from a place of emotion. You know what I mean? Even if you are emotional, you're paid to be a professional public personality. So come off the bus, be funny about it. Be like, oh, what's that, man? Like, what are you saying from the, like I don't see how you can hate from outside of the club. You can't even get in. You know what I mean? Like,
I would say the final thing is like, I think context is big here in the sense where, like I was saying with Danny, like the difference is Vinny V's been here for 5 years. Like he was come up as a prospect and he's never he's been hearing this for 5 years. And I just think it was a matter of the thing went off in his head.
But can you imagine how much more slack can you imagine how much more slack he would have bought with a bunch of Phillies fans if he just came out with some just witty response that just put this guy in the dirt with a smile on his face?
Not me. I like him a little bit more today. I'm not even gonna lie. I like Vince Velasquez a little bit more today. And just because it was very human and I didn't think it crossed the line. I felt bad for him, and he issued an apology because he saw the video and was like, "Wow, I look like an asshole. I look like an idiot for sure."
I think it's because it's where it came from. He came off the bus angry. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
But that's why I feel for the guy. I feel for the guy, and I'm it's been a discussion with Trae Young getting spit on and all that stuff. It's just enough.
Yeah, but we know you're angry. We know you're angry. You're paid to rise. You're paid well to rise above it. All I'm saying. I'm not saying you're not allowed to clap back. I just want you to clap back in a smarter way that doesn't have you have to offer an apology. And Danny Green's just coming from a place of pure ignorance.
Yeah.
We don't even need to get into that.
I empathize with Vinny V, and I wanted to make my stance clear.
You're allowed to. I like that. Well, that's it for us here on Trust the Process Live. We're getting you out of here just in time for the Home Run Derby. Thank you, everybody, for joining us live. If you did not catch us live, you can check us every week, every show in podcast form, whether it be Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Trust the Process Live, TTPL Philly. Oh, boy. Justice for Zach Wheeler. Enjoy the Home Run Derby. Like we said last week, the finest spectacle in all of exhibition games.
Truly is.
And go Phils coming out of this All-Star break.
For tonight, boys. Come on.
Let's go.
Plus
have a good week, Philly. We're brought to you by My New Philly, where something's always new and everything's
always
Philly.
Is it as
Tag your favorite sports book. Tell them to sponsor the show.
Looking at you, DraftKings FanDuel.